I will say one thing. My head looks huge. It is. Looks, oh, so does my chin. Look at that. All right. See unicorns for lunch 2025. Let me move this. God, whoa! I feel like I'm in Willy Wonka. That's a bad reference. Anyway, Adam, what a season!
Yeah. What a season. What a way to end it, too. I mean, I think a lot of people counted us out in June and July. We were an up and down team all summer long. Teams counted us out when we were the 4 seed going into the postseason tournament. And teams counted us right out after we lost in extra innings in game one. But no quit in this group. We still believe from day one. And I mean, what a ride. I think we put an exclamation mark at the end with 8 runs in the eighth inning. I think we put the league on notice and showed that we were for real and we had a lot of great pieces, and it came together at the right time for us. So special group, special ride, and glad I got to be a part of
So,
it.
I mean, before we get into, the third championship in a row, I've had a lot of people come to me, knowing that because we stream the games, what's going to happen? Is that it? Is it over at Dodge Stadium? Do they find somewhere else to play? Do they just not? I don't think anybody knows the answer to that yet.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's not up to
Oh
me.
no, or me.
Right? So I don't
Obviously
get
not
to
me
make
either.
the
But
decision there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still up in the air, and I think when we know it'll be blasted everywhere once they make a final decision. But yeah, just trying to soak it in right now and embrace what we just were able to do for the last 10 weeks. And yeah, I mean, just an incredible ride, and glad to be joined by Zach Gitcher. I know Denbro will join us here in a moment. I'm sure he'll hop on here in a second. But yeah, I mean, there's no telling what's next.
yeah, and we're just going to have a wait and see attitude for that because we just don't know. Do I call you Gitch? Do I call you Zach? What do I call you?
You can call me Gitch. That works.
All right.
Gitch works.
So Gitch, you were the. I mean, what's your history as a pitching coach? I know that you have some.
Yeah, so last year I started off in Westfield as a pitching coach out there. Ended up after that season, I talked to Murph a little bit when he had mentioned he was stepping down. I was like, okay. He was like, we'd love to have you on board. Give me a call. I talked to obviously Kyle about it, and Denbro was awesome. Kind of was everything I had hoped for in a pitching position. And so I jumped on board in probably October-ish, maybe a little later, maybe November, because I was still going through the process of like possibly looking at managing jobs last year in the Futures League. And then nothing came to fruition. And I was like, honestly, like I got a really good gig in Norwich. Like my girlfriend lives 45 minutes away. Like I think this is probably the best bet. And on top of that, I'm one of the assistant coaches at St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire. I came on to that coaching staff with Coach Oringer last summer, right around the time, probably like June, right around June. So
you look like you're 12.
Yeah, I cut my hair.
Okay.
Hair, and then I was like, all right, well, if I cut my hair, it's funny. I obviously like Snapchat and Snapchat my girlfriend, and she's like, yeah, the goatee's got to go with it. It's not a good look with the short hair. I said, yeah, it's probably a good call. And I go back to work tomorrow, so I was like, probably clean shaven, but yeah.
Now, do you work in a school system somewhere, or do you?
Yeah, so I'm actually a high school math teacher out at Greater Lowell Tech in Massachusetts. Been there. This will be my third year, so I'm excited. I'm excited to go back. I remember when I was in high school and I was like, I do not want to go back at all. Obviously, as a teacher, like it's a little different. It's my paycheck, so I'm kind of excited to go back, meet some new kids. Be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a labor of love. Every teacher that I've talked to, especially like in the local schools around here, I mean, I deal more with ADs than anything, and every one of them is very much, they love the kids. They're advocates of the kids that are in that school, and it's really nice to see that there are people out there that are like that. So, Adam, question for you: first half of the season, do you think we'd be here today talking what we're going to talk about?
I mean, I think we all saw like flashes of what we all could be, but we had never put it together. We were a team that, would try and claw our way back into games in the eighth inning. And that's a tough recipe for success when you think long term, and I think it's so tough. Like our roster at the beginning of the season to the roster at the end of the year, it changes drastically. Guys come and go. So it's hard to tell. I don't try and, make a judgment of what our team is in the first month. Like you look at a team like Worcester, they lost, like 5 or 6 all-stars after the break, right? So, I mean, I think that kind of goes to show that just because your team is stacking up wins in June and July, like maybe you don't have those pieces when you get into the month of August. And for us, we were lucky enough to retain guys, but also, I mean, the growth of our pitching staff, I think, is probably the most growth you'll see in a pitching staff in over a month span. Like guys like Eric Mathewson, Sean Connolly, they just like found their confidence and they found their mojo, and that was a big part of it. I think that's how you win championships is you have to believe in the players that you have and watch them develop. It's not like you're going to go and pick off free agents and whatever it is and go make trades around the league. It's not how this works. It's about player development. That's first and foremost in the Futures League. And I think we exemplified that. The players that we had, that we kept from the start of the year to where they are now, better baseball players. I mean, they've grown as people, and that's a big part of it. And that's why it's so much fun to see like how we were able to win it this year. Is we kept like still a good number of pieces from the start of the year, and the guys that we did pick up in June, like they stuck with us all the way to the end. We didn't lose a ton. Like it was tough losing guys like Aiden
Cardman,
Stern and Luke Cardman, but still the pieces that we had, like they just kept growing and they kept getting better. And I think Gitch can attest to that too, that like you saw like some of those pieces, like the pitchers that they are now, they completely transformed their game.
So Gitch, what is well, first of all, do the students call you Mr. Gitch or?
So it's funny. I had all seniors last year, and some of them, like I had played baseball with like older siblings, or like I knew people they knew. So a couple of them would be like, "Hey, Gitch," and I'd be like, "No, you gotta at least put a Mister in front of it." It's funny though. A lot of the kids just call you Mister. It's just Mister.
Really?
Yeah, I hate it. So this year I'm coming down hard on that. I'm done with that. If I have to know 100 names, you can at least know the first letter of my last name.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll like that, but yeah.
So when it comes to your pitching staff and stuff, if you could take if you could take one or two names to say he started here and ended way out here, who would you mention?
I think there's really like the big two, I think, that Adam pointed out in terms of Mathewson and Connolly. Beginning of the year, like rolled them out in the first game when Denbrough was still with Holy Cross at the regional. Eric struggled to throw strikes initially and then got hit a little bit, and I tried to get him in and out quick, went to someone else to get out of it. Then this was in Westfield. I think we ended up getting mercied in that game. And then Sean was kind of the same thing. Sean couldn't throw strikes, struggled a lot with that, holding runners. And we had conversations. Obviously, Sean was a young guy, like younger in the sense of like he's a rising freshman at Stonehill. And we had conversations where it was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like you might not get innings. And I think there was a game that I may or may not have been at. I'm pretty sure I was at it, and he like shoved, and I was like, all right, like there's something there. And we had a conversation, Eric and I, Sean and I, And I was like, guys, you just need to be in the zone. This league is a good league. If you throw strikes, you'll be fine. We worked on Eric's curveball. With Sean, a lot of it was his front side flies open and he kind of over rotates. And I was like, just wherever you start, just pick your leg up and go. And I think it really worked out for them. Sean was huge down the stretch. Eric was massive down the stretch. Both of those guys were guys that, like, there were outings where I was like, oh my God, this is really tough to watch. And then there were other outings where I was like, those are the two guys I'm going to because I know what I'm going to get. And like, they're going to get us outs. But those would be the two names for me.
Gotcha. Adam, do you want to, what would, like, being in the broadcast booth, I mean, you saw every pitch at home and most on the road. So what pitcher did you find to be like that had the most growth in the entire year?
Yeah, I think I gotta still go back to those two guys. Even like Hooper, like, yeah, I wish like that championship game would have been different for him, but I think you go to his last start in Vermont, and we just said, hey, you're gonna take the baseball and go out there and pitch. It wasn't a playoff game, but he pitched for us. There's a difference between, like being on the mound and being a pitcher. He was a pitcher for us. He's got great stuff. He has great life on his fastball. But again, like he was hitting guys, just out of the zone. It's so hard to like be successful and you aren't throwing first pitches for strikes and all of a sudden you're forced into a fastball count and guys can key in on that. And yeah, stuff like great that game. I was able to watch the live stream from Burlington and I was like, that's the player that Northeastern recruited and that's the player he's going to become. But he's still so young. He hasn't made a pitch of collegiate baseball yet. Yeah, like, yes, he's in the Futures League this summer, but like, I think that was exciting to see, like, when he's on and when he's pitching well, like, that's the player that Northeastern's going to get. And, you never know where that takes off to. It was unfortunate. Like, I think a walk ate him up a little bit there. Like in a championship game, like, I think that's probably one of the first moments, like pitching in a high leverage spot where you sometimes as a pitcher, you feel like you're on an island there and you feel like you have the weight of the world. I think that's a good experience for him. And that's something that he can bring with him to Northeastern to have an opportunity to pitch in a spot like that. Not a lot of guys get that chance. So I'm excited to watch what's next for him. And we were like a young team. I think, I don't know, nearly 20% of our team was risers. Bryce Detweiler just won MVP of the Futures League postseason, and he just graduated from high school and he's going to go be a riser at UConn. So it's exciting to see stuff like that. And they all made an impact in some way for our team. And then, guys that get into the game late, that's also important. Like Jack Byrne got into a game late, ended up scoring a big run for us. And I think that's also important for guys like where you're on the bench where you're watching the game, but also to stay in the game mentally. That's a big part of it. The moment that you lose the game mentally, it's hard to, become a factor in it. And our guys did a great job in that. And I think watching even like the life of our dugout, early in the year, sometimes it kind of looked deflated, like that, like our team in June, we're down 4-1. Maybe that game blows up on us, but I thought the belief in our group, you still look over the dugout like, yeah, like it sucks when you go down 4-1, but I don't think anybody quit on themselves. And that was a big part of it. Same thing in the 9th inning in game 2. Nobody quit on one another. And you don't win games if you lose belief and if you lose hope. And we did a great job in keeping our energy up. And I think that's a lot of fun. Obviously the crowd's into the game, but our bench was into those games. And because of that injects a lot of life into the rest of the team.
I think a thing that we did really well this year, I can't say that it's us as a coaching staff, but I think the players did a really good job of, and I'm going to give a ton of credit to them because both Kyle and myself might have had like short, small conversations with guys to like help them better themselves. But from a pitching standpoint, and I get feedback all game thanks to Coach Baylock, who's in our bullpen every home game. But I think a lot of those guys, and especially the older guys, like took those younger guys under their wings and talked baseball. Like, yeah, they had fun with the outfielders. Yeah, they had fun with the kids signing baseballs. But I think a lot of them, what they really did was they talked pitching. And that's huge because as a pitching coach, it's not all about the mechanical tweaks. It's not all about these big things. And I'm from a summer ball standpoint, I'm not trying to change guys' mechanics or anything. I'm just trying to find ways to help them either be in the zone more or mentally like get tougher or compete. And I think so from a pitching staff standpoint, our guys did a really good job of like communicating with one another on how to get better. And I think if you look at a lot of our guys, that's what happened.
Adam, you didn't see the chat.
Yeah.
No. Did you see did you see that we have a private chat down on the bottom?
Yeah, but I don't see. Oh,
It's talking about our trip.
I just jump in. Adam, take it.
Yeah.
After Gitch. Sorry, I didn't have that. I didn't have that open. Sorry, I was texting Dembro.
You know, it's really funny and really cool
on.
is that when you have a play-by-play guy that is as smooth as butter, you know, the entire season, and then you can screw him up or something like that. You trip him up. So that was kind of funny for me, Adam. Like, it was kind of funny just to see because you're very, very smooth on the microphone, and
this guy's the man.
Yeah, he's very good.
Sorry, I wasn't. I kind of zoned out there for a second. I'm trying.
I said to someone the other day, if I ever make it big time, I'm calling play-by-play here. Need to get him in.
Let's go.
Come on, Adam. How many times have I told you this year that you're gonna make it?
Yeah, I've heard it a lot, and I mean those words mean a lot to me. I understand how hard it is to make it. Like, there's only one person that gets to call a game, and it gets harder and harder to the next level you go. I mean, everybody wants to be in that spot. I don't know what's better than, you know, being there talking about sports, talking about baseball, something that we're all passionate about. It's a privilege to work in baseball and to work in sports entirely. So I don't take it for granted. And, you know, like I found this role thanks to Murph, you know, his brother. Like, we went to Lake Forest College together, and he said, "Hey, you want a summer broadcasting job?" And I said, "Whatever it is, I want in." And, you know, I mean, last summer, I mean, we were the best team in the league, wire to wire, you know, in Norwich. And I had no expectations of what it was going to turn out to be or anything like that. So a lot of fun, and I appreciate those things. And it's all about the people and the place that make it special to me. And, you know, that's something that I'm always going to take with me forever. And yeah, I mean, a lot of fun. I don't think I could have scripted it any better to be able to go and take my first gig and have that be a champion, like be a part of a three-peat. I mean, it does not get better than that. So just glad that I got to be a part of the ride with a great staff, great front office. There's nothing.
I remember Lee texting me because we were starting to put, you know, the broadcast together, and he wasn't sure what was going to happen as far as a play-by-play person. And I'm like, well, next thing I know, he calls me, like, it was like a day later. He goes, "Guess what?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Adam's coming back." And I'm in my office, and I just went, "Let's go!" I was very happy to hear that you were coming back. So,
yeah, and I think our broadcasts, like, within themselves, like, they got so much better, and a lot of credit has to go to Nick too. I know that he's not on here, and he doesn't get the love that he deserves. He was our producer all season, and, you know, he was a diamond in the rough that was my right-hand man all year, setting up cameras, filming a 20-minute pregame show, literally with his hands like that, like keeping it still as I'm just blaring into the mic about Sea Unicorns baseball, and he's just there, like, just filming me, just trying to make it look as good as possible. He's like, "Is this good?" I was like, "Dude, whatever you shoot, that's good, because it's not gonna get any better than that."
Do you realize that?
Yeah,
Nick was a complete mistake, or just something that happened?
Yeah, I know.
Because I actually had a girl. Do you know this story? Do you know this story? How I had actually hired a girl to do what Nick was doing, and then about a week later, she goes, "Nah, I can't do it. I think I've got to wash my hair that day." I don't know, some stupid, kind of
She's
whatever.
probably thankful because Nick would just stand out in 90-degree weather waiting to interview guys during pregame BP.
Nick would be
with
out in a
Plager.
freaking tornado going, how's this? My God, center field, it's not looking right.
Meanwhile, Plager's running around, or we got guys running through our cuts.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on third base going, just go over there.
Yeah.
Just go there. But no, that's that. He then actually he sent his an email into Lee Walter, and then Lee turned around and sent it to me, and I went, well, let's talk to this kid. And I met him at Dodd, and next thing you know, it was like, yeah, let's do this, because he was very eager to learn. Like he did some stuff, with Post University, interning. But as far as producing a show or anything like that, he had no experience. And I just looked at him. I said, you're gonna screw up. I said, just get that in your head right away. You're gonna screw up. I said, the big thing is to learn from what you screwed up on. And I said, the biggest thing, and Adam, I'm sure you can attest to this, reps. Just do it.
That's all it is.
He got plenty this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and then another nice little resume piece, along with Adam, is that he got to he got to be an associate, or a production assistant, on the NESN game. So it's just gonna look really good for him. So,
yeah, it was special to be a part of that, like All-Star game, and then this game on NESN. Like it was great that the Futures League had 5 games this summer on NESN. I hope they continue that. It's great exposure for the league, our players, everybody a part of it. Like so professional the way that they run it.
yeah.
And I'm glad that they brought it back. We didn't have that at all last season, and it was great exposure for this league for a lot of these guys that have never played in a setting like that. So, yeah, I'm glad that we made that happen.
And for me, I've had like my day in the sun, behind a microphone calling stuff, and I still do. I have to because I have to, but I would rather do the other end of it, kind of like what I did at Dodd. But there's so many young kids that has come through what we've done here and gone on to other things. Adam was already doing his thing, but iron sharpens iron. So him and Nick together, they were really good. And I have a kid at URI, who started with me, and I have like 5 or 6 guys. So it's that to me that's like to me winning the Futures League right there. Seeing all these young kids and coming in and doing a really great job in a broadcasting capacity, selling the players.
Yeah,
and that is something that Adam does very, very well, is he sells the players. And I'll leave it with this. Hey, that's a dog.
Yeah, he's got no sense of personal space. Ozzy, say hi.
I'll leave this part on this, and Adam, I'll just let you, obviously just take from here. But Worcester, the game in Worcester. No. Was it the first Bees game, wasn't it? The 1-0 win.
Which game?
Where I
1-0. The game we lost 1-0.
Yeah, but I said to you, I said,
oh yeah,
you made me believe that I didn't need to watch video. I didn't need it at all. And I said, you showed me what it was like to listen to a ball game on radio again. Because, we get so complacent, right? With broadcast sports, it's streamed everywhere. I mean, it's probably streamed on Pornhub now. We don't know. But, it's... who knows? Amazon's in it, so why not them? So anyway, just to be able to sit back, with a pair of AirPods, which I found again, and I lose them like crazy, and just to be able to go ahead and have that, being able to feel that again. And Adam is that good, and he's going to get that much better. So I'll leave it at that as far as the broadcasting crew, because I know we're here to talk about the Sea Unicorns, not so much about SNSN. But anyway, and Gitch, because Dombrowski
That's right.
apparently isn't showing up.
Denver is showing us up, huh?
No, well, he said
Yeah.
he was gonna hop on whatever. So I guess he's gonna pick his right moment to click.
Maybe
the
he's
link
in his Honda
whenever.
Pilot on 290 right now, driving home.
You know,
Oh,
maybe he's going
possibly.
to his part-time job at Wendy's. I don't know. I mean, if he was here, I wouldn't be digging him. You know. Do you know we had to change the entire broadcast because of him? He doesn't even know this. We had to change the entire broadcast, huh? Adam,
When?
do you remember third base? Well, maybe we didn't tell you. Nick knows. We were in the third base dugout pretty much the entire year. Then we had to move up to the top of the concourse. And the reason why, Dembro's ass. It was right in the middle of every play. We had to get the hell out of the dugout because he's like over here, and then he's over here, and I'm like, get out of the way, you know.
And he's running down the line, right? He's scoring with
and
our
the Bees
base
coach
running.
too. Same thing.
Getty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a
the
bigger
man.
ass, you know.
Yeah. I think I think it worked out better being up top on the concourse, like that view of Dodd Stadium. I mean, you like see everything from up there, which I think is a part of, broadcasting at any level, is finding out what works best within any ballpark. So I mean, we're lucky, like we got a lot of room on our concourse to go set up a camera. Not every stadium like that is built for that in the Futures League. So we get lucky with that, when we had a great camera shot up top on the first base concourse, and then center field, and then hopefully next is going to be a high home shot the way they had it on the NESN broadcast. You can't replace that camera. There's nothing better than tracking the ball over top of the netting that sees the vast ballpark that we have. So
Adam, you just spoken Chinese to me right there. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. High home is like when you're watching like a baseball game, like the main camera angle that's like tracking like where the ball hit off the bat. Like when they put the ball in play, like when you see the ball get put in play after.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like taken from up top above home plate, like way up top in the ballpark.
That coming out of your paycheck?
For that camera?
Yeah.
Or
no,
for the camera.
I was at Fenway. I was at Fenway yesterday, and they would have won that game actually if Gitch was the pitching coach, but because their middle relief guys suck. They're awful. The third in the major leagues with blown saves, and they proved that why yesterday. But to your point, Adam, we were right behind a net, down the third base line, and it was kind of a pain. So being above that netting is really much.
Yeah.
The vision is much better.
Definitely.
So Gitch, let's say your school year goes great. Spring is starting to roll around. You get a call, and you hear, okay, we're ready to go. We're doing this. Are you coming back?
I think like Murph and I have had conversations. I have some things I got to figure out right now. I definitely wouldn't close the door on it because, I mean, we've already been talking in the coaches group chat about running it back for Pete. And I think honestly, like, I'm just thankful that like I was given the opportunity, right? These opportunities don't always come around. I mean, look across the league, you've had guys in the league for a while. So it's nice to be able to break into this league and like kind of have some fun with it, and obviously win. So I think that's definitely a possibility. I'm trying to work through some stuff now and see where that goes. I got a couple other things I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. And I loved working here this summer because I don't really consider it work. Like I say working here, but it's not really work. Like it's fun. It was a lot of fun.
All of us can say that. I think all of us can say that, really. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a possibility.
Who would you want to come back as far as players? If you could say, boom, right off the top of your head, who would they be? Whether they can or they can't, who would you want back?
Who would I want back? guy that comes to mind is probably like Charlie Walsh or Scanlon right away. Because there were moments this year where like those guys like would piss you off and you'd be like, you're just go, get away from me. And there's other moments where they're like, you're pissed off about the game and they're just making a joke about it. And you're like, I can't help but not laugh. Like, I can't help but laugh. No, and I think those guys play the game really hard. I mean, I could say that about all these guys, though. Like, I could say that about every single one of those guys that was in that clubhouse, that I would love to have that same team back. Because I think every hard moment they made easier because they'd either make you laugh, do something stupid, or they would just be better than what was going on. And I think Dembro would attest to that as well. Like, a lot of those guys were unreal to be around.
And if he shows up, maybe he will attest to it.
Maybe it's a possibility.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam? You're coming back if it's offered. Do we get a three-peat on play-by-play?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to the opportunity. You know, I've said this to Lee. I told him my goal is obviously to get a gig in affiliated baseball or affiliated hockey. Like, I want to keep trying to climb up the ladder. And he's already expressed that interest in welcoming me back. And, you know, this has been great the last 2 seasons, and I'm just grateful that I was even a part of it. And that I was even considered in the first place in 2024 when, like, I'm from California, and it's pretty rare that, you know, that the front office is like, hey, like, we're going to give you a host family. You know, same goes as for the players. Like, if I don't have a host family, like, I'm not in Connecticut, you know, so I'm forever grateful for that. And like Rich, who's been my host the last 2 summers, you know, our host families, they don't get as much credit as they deserve, because without them, like, we couldn't have the Futures League and couldn't play baseball. So yeah, definitely open to it. And I just got to see where things go, like, the next few months. You know, like I said, my goal is to try and take a step and continue to climb the ladder. So, and I told Lee that I would let him know kind of where things go by New Year's. I just want to see that baseball continues at Dodge Stadium too. I hope that this isn't the end for it, you know, in whatever capacity that is. So I'm, I guess, waiting with anticipation to see how things shake out there too. But yeah, right along the same page there is
Plager and I are going to buy a house together in Norwich.
No, not Norwich. The taxes are too freaking high.
We're actually going to live like right on the water in Mystic together.
Wait, the taxes are so high because of Dodd, right? It's all Dodd's fault.
Oh,
everything is Dodd's fault.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're
some city, everything is Dodd's fault.
You have some people that are saying that, but you know, I mean,
I saw a comment after we won, and someone was like, "It's bleeding tax money." I'm like, "We just won a 3rd championship. Like, what are we talking about right now? Who cares? Like, we just won."
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was one time I said, "Okay, you're gonna sell Dodge Stadium. Okay, well, it's a great stopgap for 1 year, but what's next year? Mohegan Park? You know, I mean, you're gonna sell that off now too." You know, and I don't know, but I'm glad they took it. I'm glad they took the motion off the table. That's step 1. And I really hope, I really honestly hope, not because like the 3 of us all have, and many others have emotional buy-ins, you know, and ties to Dodge Stadium. I took my kids there. Now I have grandkids, you know, so it's been a long run for me as a fan. I think that
Thank you.
I don't know how to really put this. I was at Fenway, like I said yesterday. It was a great time, but the day before I was in New Britain to watch the Bees and the Sea Unicorns, and to watch and to experience 2.5 great games of playoff ball, and then all of a sudden the Unicorns just said and 8 runs in 1 inning. And you know, I feel bad for New Britain because the wheels kind of fell off, but that's the kind of emotional. I had more fun at New Britain Stadium than I did at Fenway.
Those places were rocking too. Dodge Stadium was buzzing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's kind of a play on words. Sorry, Bees.
Nice pun.
No,
Yeah.
but seriously, that place was rocking. When we tied that game, I
Yeah.
was like, and the best is you watch all the people doing this, and like if you just watch, it's like
Yeah.
hands are just going everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you had Bees fans making fun of us before the game doing it when they scored, and even actually, it's funny because New Britain played our run song after they beat us the first game on the walk-off 1-0. So I just had to throw that in there.
You know they play that. You know they play that at Fenway.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, not every game, not every run, but there were a couple that they played that song.
Wow.
Yeah. They obviously got it from Sea Unicorns. So
That's right. We started the tradition.
I just got a kick out of the name of the song. Do you know what you
I
know what the
know.
name of the song is?
Yeah,
Gibbs?
I know what it is.
I actually don't. I don't know what I've tried to like find it, but I feel like I'm typing like random letters in and just hoping it works. Like I try to sound out the actual sound of it when I'm typing it in.
All right, I just typed it to you.
That's funny. Who's it by?
I don't know, but
I'm
I
just gonna type it
didn't
in.
know, but Lee had told me because I asked him. I said, "What's the name of the song?" And he texts that to me, and I'm like, "Are you telling me the name of the song, or are you telling me
Yeah.
to go away?"
Yeah. That's awesome.
Adam, you must have some questions because this is really kind of a happy show. You know, we're just kind of going
Yeah.
back and forth and back and forth. We know that the Sea Unicorns have three-peated. That's excellent. The only team to win 3 Futures League championships in its 15-year history. Never mind 3 in a row. So, what do you want to see? What's next? I mean, what else can they do?
Win a 4.
The Sea Unicorns?
Yeah.
What can the Sea Unicorns do
What
next?
do they do next?
I don't know. I don't know what we could do next. I guess go 62-0 in the regular season and 4-0 in the postseason. I don't know how you top
Yeah.
it, right? I think the journey, the ups and downs make it special. Like it wouldn't be that fun if everything was easy and handed to you, right? Like we were an underdog team all summer, and to see guys like Walsh, have clutch moments for us. Personal favorite was beating Worcester in 14 innings, right? The longer that game went, talk about a guy that developed Justin Gwen. He wasn't, a leverage arm, and easy to forget guys like that. He goes and comes into the game, and he said, I didn't have my best stuff. Well, I was like, well, whatever it looked pretty darn good to me, because you just shoved for 4 innings of one-hit baseball, like probably the best he's ever pitched in his life, and he did that for us. Like that was crazy. He set us up in a great spot.
I don't think he threw. I was talking to the guys, and they were like, he threw one pitch that wasn't a fastball in that game. One pitch. I was like, that's absurd.
Yeah,
that's absurd. He threw all heaters to arguably the best lineup in the Futures League, from what everyone has said.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Good pitcher.
So get you from a coaching standpoint. One of the things that I was a little confused about, especially late in the game, is that the Bravehearts took Marshall out, and I think it was basically for a pinch runner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and you take out your highest RBI guy and your biggest power bat right out of the lineup. I mean, I didn't understand that. Could you make?
I didn't. I don't want to comment on their coaching decision.
No, I didn't understand it. I wanted to see if there was.
I think what Luke was trying to do was he was hoping Sepulveda hit a ball on a gap. That guy was going to score from first, because Marshall's probably not scoring from first there. But I shouldn't say probably. He's most likely not.
He's too big. He's like 6'12".
I can say that because I know Jackson, and he's just a really good kid. But I think that was the goal. There was hit a ball in a gap. That guy's going to wheel around and score. But you also have to understand you're playing at Dodd. Like, the ball doesn't go anywhere. Like, that game, Frank Spirito gave up multiple balls that would have been 100 feet out of Worcester. And they just were like, yep, thank you. That's an out. So I think back to the decision, I think that's what it was. And if you look at that hitting spot, throughout the rest of that game, it was punchy, and then it was like a sack bunt that he got called safe, and he was out by 3 steps. So that spot didn't really help them there, and they would have had Jackson Marshall coming up. So
Right.
I'm
right.
thankful they did it because it made it a lot easier to pitch.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was just to score a run.
Well, it didn't work.
Thankfully.
And they're my goodness. They're the by far probably they were the toughest team. You know, their lineup was stacked, you know,
Yeah.
with talent. What did you think when you found out you were going to go up against Worcester and New Britain was going to go up against Vermont? What was your thought
Honestly,
there? Yeah,
honestly,
lie to me.
I remember sending a text to Dembro being like,
Oh, who still hasn't shown up?
I sent him a text being like, you know, Vermont's lost McMillan. They've lost a couple guys. Like, I'd rather face Vermont's lineup. And Dembro was like, no, I want Worcester. I want Worcester. Partially, I think the travel definitely factors into it. The travel's a lot better. But at the same time, like, you play Worcester, like that lineup's a tough lineup to pitch to. Granted, we had Wooten and Spirito going. So I was like, with Grady waiting if needed. So I was kind of like, whoever's we're getting, like, it's not going to be easy for them because I got 2 horses that are going to go. I think Matt Wooten's thrown 110 innings this year. So it's like, I was okay with either. When we got them, I knew we had played against them and pitched against them pretty well all year. Like, Worcester, I think we might have had a winning record against them, or it was close. It might have been 500. We couldn't beat them at home. We could only beat them away.
On the way, on the road. Yeah.
And the same for them. And I was like, honestly, I don't mind it. Vermont, after the last 4 game set we had up there, I was like, well, this could go one of 2 ways. It could be a really happy ride back or a really sad ride back. So, and New Britain doing what they did was awesome to see too. So
yeah, because they lost 8-0 in the first game.
Yeah.
And then they came home, they won, and then they went on the road and won there too. So
yeah,
that was really pretty incredible. So I was really impressed with the New Britain Bees, their track to the finals. There was a question that I had that I was gonna. Oh my god! Pick it up there, Adam. I'll remember this question.
I guess to piggyback off your last question, I wanted to play Worcester in the first round. I don't think we matched up the best against Vermont, especially when you have a sour taste in your mouth. Like, yes, like, sure, you want revenge, but it doesn't, like, bode well for us. 4 hours to Vermont, bus right back home, play the very next day. You know, maybe you don't win in Vermont. They're probably the hardest ballpark to go steal games from in a crowd that's got 4,500 people packed in there at standing room only. Like, their fans, they're diehard fans, and they get into the game. They stayed for almost a 5-hour marathon game. They were right there till the very last out, in a game that they come all the way back. Well, I shouldn't say come all the way back. We put up 3 runs against them in the top of the 10th inning, and then they come back with 4. They're like, how do you like that, right? And then they go finish off a suspended game. So it goes to show they were probably the hardest team to beat on the road. And, you know, when you think about it, you're more times than not, you have to win an away game. And we were a lot better on the road against Worcester. And we just had reverse splits against them and home road splits. So, you know, I'm glad that the Bees found a way to beat them. You know, credit to Garrett Garbinski, who absolutely shoved for them. And more times than not, you're not winning games 1-0, but that's how good the Bees pitching staff was all year. But, you know, it kind of worked out for us that we wrapped up a series in 2 games, and they had to use a lot of arms to get through Vermont, which worked in our favor. And then you look at the 8th inning, they pitched Zach Zajac, who was untouchable all summer. It was his first outing in nearly 2 weeks. It's hard to simulate baseball when you get shut down. And then, you know, he asked his coach, hey, can I pitch in the championship? And they let him go out there in the 8th inning. More times than not in the regular season, when he's been pitching consistently, he's probably going to get outs for him. And credit to our guys, too. We squared up, but also we changed our approach. We found pitches that we could put a good swing on, and we took advantage early. And, you know, that was a big turning point in the game for us. But credit to the Bees. I don't think anybody had them going taken out the Vermont Lake Monsters in the first round, especially after getting blown out 8-0 to go win a 1-0 game. And then they were up 6-0 in game 3. Their pitching staff was everything and more for them. They probably had the best all around pitching staff from start of the year to end of the year. Like, they just lost games because they couldn't hit at times throughout the year. Like, their team ERA in the regular season was second best, if not first, but they had the best ERA in the postseason until he rattled up 8 runs on them in the 8th inning. They still had a great team ERA, and like guys like Ben Oliveri pitched for them on 2 days rest, and he kind of shut down our lineup. And then Ty Davis the other day, he was a hard luck loser, really. Like, he was pitching on 3 days rest, so it was an all out battle, and I'm glad that it stayed in Connecticut, because it would have been a tough 4-hour trip there, 4-hour trip back to Norwich, and then you never know if you have to go right back up there in Vermont. So I think it worked out in our favor. We got a great matchup for us, and our pitching staff paved the way for us. Brendan Grady took a no-hitter into the 7th inning with 2 outs. We should have found a way to get him a win. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way for us, but we're a team that lives for the drama late in the game, so we got to.
Adam, you mentioned that 5-hour game in Vermont. I remember looking at Dembro in I think it was the 10th inning after we put up the 3 runs. That the game took forever because the strike zone was really small. And early in the game, I didn't get a warning, but the guy was pissed off at me. And I looked at Dembro and was like, I got to drive home. I might ask him to throw me out because I can't deal with this. I need to go. This is ridiculous.
I wanted to ask you, the question came to me, game 2, Matt Wooten on the hill, first inning, and Slauson goes deep with a 3-run homer. He, ends up not coming back for the 2nd inning. What was his mindset after that?
Matt?
Yeah.
When he came in, Dembro and I had a conversation literally 15 minutes before the game. Dembro was like, hey, come here for a second. So we go in the office, and he's like, if this doesn't go well, and say it's and he word for word was like, if we're behind 3-0 in the first, we're going right to Conti, right? And I was like, I'm fine with that. I said, the only other thing is you could go Tabit or Maher instead. He said, nope, I'm going right to Conti early to try to shut him down. I said, okay.
And he did.
And he did. And he went 6 innings, which was wild.
I know.
So Matt comes off the mound. I said, hey, Matt, you're done. And he was like, good. He didn't say good. He was like, I felt like shit. And I said, excuse my language, but he said that.
The internet, we can do anything.
And I said, okay. No, it is what it is. 1 pitch. Realistically, I thought the ground ball through the hole the first at bat, I was like, I thought we should have had it. Is what it is. We didn't get it. And then it was another one through the hole. And I have George at school. It's just what he does. George Lawson is a good hitter for someone as young as he is. So when I talked to Matt,
so he's one of your students?
No, George is at St. A's with me.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's going to be awkward.
So, no. So I said to Matt after the game, I said, actually, he came up to me. We won. He goes, hey, am I good to close tomorrow? I said, yeah, you're eligible. He goes, all right, sounds good. So Matt has one of the best attitudes of a pitcher that I've seen, in the sense that he just washes it really quickly. Granted, he's a veteran. He's been in the league for a couple years. He's pitched at the highest of levels. So he knows what he's doing. He has a game plan, preparation, and just executes it.
Why didn't Spirito start game 3?
So Frank was rehabbing from Tommy John all throughout this year. So pitch count wise, we were trying to keep him from going over. The game 2 start against Worcester, he went 85 or 86 pitches in 8 innings, which was a lot, but he was like, I've got at least 1 more inning in me. And we were like, okay, let's squeeze everything out of him we can. And he's done for the year. And so when I talked to him, actually, again, he looked at me on Friday, gave me a thumbs up. I said, everything's good. And he's like, no, I'm up tomorrow. And I was like, I love it, but like we gotta like figure something out. So we called him in, talked to his pitching coach at UConn, J Mac, and J Mac was like, I guess. Don't ask me though. Like, ask him. Like, I trust that he'll be honest with you. And Frank was like, I'm good. Came in that bases loaded jam, and I was like, oh my god, it was literally the game. That at bat was the game. If that ball is 20 feet the other way, we're not even having this conversation probably, because they probably unload the bases. And he, after that 7th inning, he came in. And I was like, how you feel? He goes, I'm tired. I said, you're done. We're not, like, I am not in the business of, like, especially with guys coming off TJ, like, I don't need a championship that bad. I really don't.
Right.
Like, it is what it is.
At the
That
expense
kid's
of the
health.
kid, you know?
Yeah, that guy's health is way more important to me than getting a ring.
Was New Britain's pitching staff spent at that point? Because I know in game 2 they went to like 5 or 6 pitchers they used in that game. It was like every inning there was a new guy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that's kind of,
I'm trying to think. The Friday game, I think, I don't think it hurt them though, because they still, in my mind, they still had Ty Davis, they had Devin DeVita, they had Reisdorf, who's a position player, and the surprise was Zajac. They had Zajac too. And they had Fez, the lefty. Like, they still had arms. Were they're like top arms? Maybe not. Mello.
We're talking about a team that had the best CRA.
Yeah,
you know,
Mello was eligible too. The lefty that came in, he was eligible. Braden Young was eligible. I don't know if they like just weren't ready to go for the next day. I don't know what the deal was there. So I don't think they. I mean, I think they were probably tired. I think you play 6 games in a playoff stretch. It's a lot of games and a lot of innings to cover.
Exactly. Adam?
I was trying to pull up the box score from game 2. I couldn't remember who they used. I mean, it all kind of blurs together. I know, like, their bullpen was Evan Mello's probably going to go pitch the 9th inning for them. They had Zajac in the regular season. They used Garbinski in the bullpen because he was coming off a short rest. And, you know, the big thing was, like, do we let Colin Blake pitch another inning as a starter, you know, to shorten that gap to the end of the game? But they ended up going to Garbinski, and then they're like, oh, like, should we have given Garbinski another inning? But also, he was a guy that was coming off a arm injury, and he's also like in a similar spot to Spirito. Like, you don't want to blow the kid out in the postseason. Like, Getty's not trying to injure a guy. Like, that's the last thing that you want in the summertime. Like, he's rehabbing here in a sense to like get back to full strength. So when both those guys go back to stores here in the fall, they're 100% ready, and they've also gotten a chance to pitch innings in a game they otherwise wouldn't have had a chance to do. So it's like different for us. Like, we want to win, you know, like we want to win a championship, but for some of these guys, it's like, hey, they're, you know, coming back from an injury, and this is their way to get back in there. And the last thing they want to do is, you know, oversell themselves that they just injure themselves after trying to get all the way back healthy. So I think that's also like a big part of it too. Like, Zach Zajac got shut down from RPI, and he had made a phone call to his coach and said, hey, can I get one more inning if we're in the championship? And his coach obliged, and, you know, he let him go out there and pitch for them, and we found a way against him. So, and also credit to Frank, like a guy that also was injured, and now he's fully back healthy, finds a way to slam the door shut with the bases loaded. Like,
he was throwing fuel.
Like it said, they get it.
He was throwing fuel.
And I heard the pop in the mitt, and we had the crowd mic too, you know, so I could hear it echo off the stadium mic into my headset. That was probably the hardest that he had thrown. And then I watched Woon come back after having a knock go his way. Like, he was amped up too in the 8th and 9th inning, throwing some of his best baseball. Adrenaline's a real thing. Like, ask Gio. That's probably the biggest adrenaline pitcher you'll ever see. Like, he was pitching off adrenaline. If he doesn't have that, I don't know if he's still going 6 innings, but with the season on the line, he did everything and more for us to keep us in that ball game, instead of letting it completely go the other way. And that could have been the season right there. Like 6 innings out of a guy that's been a 2 or 3 inning guy. As he said to me, that's the most innings he's ever eaten up in his collegiate career. And, maybe Siena's going to go and ask him, hey, you want to go and pitch as a starter at times, so it was incredible to see. I just saw the chat pop up. I think this was the last year of eligibility for Matt Wooten in the Futures League. This was his 3rd summer in Norwich. So it was pretty cool for him. Like he won, I don't know if he was on the championship roster in 2023. He pitched 8 innings in Norwich that summer. And then he pitched in 2022 here. And that was when Gitch won it all in Nashua. So I think it's like fun to see stories like that. Like to win it as a player, come here as a coach and be a part of that ride. And then you see guys like, I think Kyan Bagshaw might have been on Nashua in 2022 still. Liam Doyle was a player on that team for a little bit, and he's a 5th overall selection. So I think that's the fun part about this is like the relationships you build and some of the players that you watch come through here. Like AJ Soldier scored the winning run for us, a year ago? It was a year ago to the day when we won the game in extra innings on August 11th. Now he's playing rookie ball for the LA Dodgers. So, it's that short of a time span that's how quickly things change. And you look at a guy like Antonio Ducatelli. He was not a guy for Central Connecticut. He did not play there. Came here. Murph gave him a chance to play almost every day, and he hit 250 for us. In his first summer in the Futures League, went back to Central Connecticut. He was a guy for them. He was in their lineup every day, all tournament team guy. And then he came back to Norwich even after an injury and was arguably one of the leaders in our dugout, someone that had already won it, saw what it takes to win it. So I think it's cool to see the way guys transform in this league that doesn't happen everywhere. Like this league is about development and players have taken off, and now we see guys ultimately make it to the big leagues that have come and played.
He's another guy I'd love to have back. Duke was the man. Love that guy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So just before we wrap things up, I think I owe Dembro an apology because when I sent the link out to the show, his email is just KY. And I put KYLE, and it came back to me.
You didn't copy and paste it?
No, not from a text. I mean, come on, I'm almost 60, dude. I don't know that crap. I'm old, need some Maalox, You're lucky I didn't have to go to the bathroom 4 times during this show.
That's funny.
Had to do that in the middle of the night. You wait, boys. You wait. Be like, got to take my bed.
Dembro is the man, though, all year. Like, he's a big part of it, too. So relaxed. Like, every manager's different. Like, that's the way, like, Murph was last summer. Like, I don't know if Murph has a heartbeat. I'm still waiting to find out. That guy never panics.
What do you mean? That guy is panic. Murph is panic.
Every time I walked by Murph, it looked like he had no care in the world and was just hanging out, living life.
He's the man.
But I don't get to see that side of it. But he is the man. And same with Dembro. Like, as much of a player's coach as you ever will have, like, it's could be easy to get on guys when they're not, producing, or guys go through slumps. Like you see, like Spencer Chard, he's always going in there asking for help. But like if Dembro doesn't have that welcoming attitude of like having his door open, trying to help anybody out, doesn't matter where their spot in the lineup is. Like, he was great about, helping our players out and made sure that they got exactly what they needed out of it. And probably him and Murph, probably some of the easiest coaches to ever play for. Like, like it's different with every team. Like, it's easier to win when, you got guys that are right by your side, whether it's going great or going terribly for you, they're still going to stick with you. And that's the big thing. Like these are all like 18, 19, 20-year-old guys. Like they're still learning the mental side of the game of facing adversity. And the moment like you have like someone on your own side kind of coming right back out after you, like us here, like it can go horrible for you. And like it kind of went horrible for some of our pitchers early in the year, but it's not like we ever quit on anybody or gave up on them. We're like, hey, like you're gonna come back out here and eventually gonna get a chance to pitch again. And they recognize that too. Like I think so early on in the year, it could have been easy for guys to just shut down. Like these are guys that are still going to be risers going to college. They're like, maybe, you know, I'm not meant for this. This is going to go horrible. Even when I go to get to school, like I can't figure it out here. It just was a rough summer. Now I'm going to go try and figure it out at school ball where there's junior and senior guys that are Division I athletes that have been doing it for the last 2 or 3 years. They're going to come and, you know, clobber me too. But, you know, they stuck with it, and credit to those guys for still finding a way to believe when it's not easy. If you go get rocked for 3 runs and you only find a way to get an out, you're like, oh, like this is going to blow up on me this summer. And nobody ever was like that. We had some tough losses throughout the year, probably like getting walked off in game 1, probably hard to be like, like now we got to go find a way in game 2, but no one was ever like that. They were excited about that opportunity. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like as much as we did things like on the field and made plays, like the moment you lose the mental side of the game, it's very hard to compete in this game. You fail 70% of the time as a hitter. And if you let that eat you up, so hard to come back from that. And even a guy like Bags, like he went home at a point in the summer, he came back and he hit nearly 250. So that was cool to see. I know that he had his ups and downs too. Didn't play like in the playoffs for us, but if you have a bad attitude on the bench, probably not going to go well for the rest of the team. Same with Wooten, you know, probably his toughest outing of the summer was game 2 of the championship. You know, if you see a guy, you see your ace look defeated, it's probably hard for the rest of the group to be like, oh, we're going to find a way to win it. But he wasn't, you know, he still stuck it through. And you see a guy like Gio came into the game for us right there, and there was no quit in his eyes. I don't think if anyone told him when he was walking out to the mound, oh, you're going to lose this game, I think he probably would have punched somebody in the face. But that's the competitor that he is. And you need guys like that on your team, guys like Duke that came back. And then what was cool to see, obviously, Sweeney went back home, unfortunately, due to an injury. But the summer he had last summer in this league to this summer, I mean, he looked like a different player. And I know that Gitch wasn't here as his coach. He saw him when he played against him in Westfield. He barely was in the lineup. You know, we had AJ Solder, Caden Dose in our outfield. It was kind of set from there. He came here and he was one of our guys. And then even a guy like Anthony Tirado, like unfortunately got hit in the back of his neck, but probably one of the best teammates you can have, you know, on your side. Those are guys that you want on your side. And glad we had them on our side. You know, like Tirado had stretches where it was hot and cold for him offensively, but he still believed in himself and still stayed positive. So that's what I like to see. You know, that's the best part about it. The championship, that's kind of the icing on the cake. But, you know, to see the way guys carry themselves, that was a lot of fun. I think Tirado still showed up to 2 or 3 games after he got pelted in the back. Couldn't feel his neck there, I'm sure. Like after you get hit on a pickoff move, when your helmet gets flipped off your head. I don't know how that happened either, but that was a scary moment. And, you know, he still came to a couple away games too, like drove himself there, and he was still there to support the team. And yeah, like the group of guys that we had, that's a big part of how you win something in this league. Guys are not used to playing 10 weeks straight, 6 days a week. That takes a toll.
I think from a coaching standpoint, I'm really just grateful to have had this opportunity to work with, obviously Kevin Murphy, Lee Walter, and obviously Kyle Dombrowski, Leaf Bigelow, Colby Regione, and Ryan Hyde, because when you looked at our staff from a coaching perspective, like we were as loose as can be. Like we were constantly talking. And I think Denver did a really great job at this, because I've been places where like whether I was a player watching it or like as an assistant coach, like where you give suggestions and like it's like the door is closed in your face. Like I think what we did really good as a coaching staff and what I would hope to do if I was a head coach or manager someday is like allow guys to have suggestions. Like Denbro took a lot of my suggestions on the pitching side of things. Some of them he took on the hitting side of things. Some of them he didn't, but he always had a reason for why he didn't like it. Like he would explain, "Hey, I like this better." And I would be okay with it. And there were times where like he made a move, like he pinch ran for Chaplin in game 2 against New Britain. And I was in the dugout like, no, 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 no. And he was like, yep, I'm doing it. And I was like, okay, oh, well, we'll figure it out. But I think he did a really good job, not just even from me. Like we had coaches, our other 3 assistants, who were at a lot of the games, but they have other full-time jobs and stuff like that. They were as much of a part of the team from a coaching standpoint as I was, because they felt like they were listened to. Like they would give their opinion and either Denbro would take it, and if he didn't, then he would have a reason for it. And I think that's very valuable, because when you have that culture on the coaching side of things, you also can instill it on the player side of things. And I think we did a really good job at that. And it starts at the top with Murph kind of welcoming us in and what he did the past 2 years.
I think since we're throwing out shout outs to people, I think there's one person that hasn't been mentioned that has been instrumental in this team for not just the Unicorns, but 30 years.
Heather.
She's
unreal. She's the best.
And I'll tell you, I after Wooten gave up the 3-run shot, I saw her in the beer garden. She was working, and I just kind of walk away from the camera for a minute and came back, and I said to her, "Well," and she goes, and she got visibly upset and said, "Gee, thanks," because I said, "This might be it," and she goes, "Oh." And she was, and I told her, I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot, the legacy that you have here, probably the longest legacy that's there, period." And I talked to her quite a bit at the Bees game in New Britain. So, and everything. And she gave me so many different ideas that, and she's such a good baseball mind. She knows that stadium. And I mean, Lee Walter is, he's a baseball guy through and through. He busts his ass out there on the field. He's got his boy out there with him, and they're just doing the thing. But I think together they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I think Heather deserves a lot of credit.
I didn't have a ton of interactions with her, but the ones I did, she was always pleasant. She was very funny. And she is Dodd Stadium in that sense. She's been there probably the longest of anyone, if not the longest. So shout out Heather.
Yeah, big part of it. I remember just coming in the office every day and all the front office staff would be like, "Are we winning today?" I was like, "Yeah, we're winning today." So I thought that was funny, even when it wasn't going well, especially in the postseason. They're like, "Are the boys going to win today?" I was like, "Yeah, the boys are going to win today." But I feel like you, you just look, at this organization kind of through and through. Like it's a small front office. It's all hands
Casey
on
Collins,
deck.
another one.
Always, always here, working hard.
Don't forget Chris
Green too. Chris is the man too. So he's always, trying to make sure everything is taken care of. So that's a huge part of it. So special group. I mean, special ride. It's hard to sum it up into words, but I'm glad that that this kind of worked out the way it did. That we won the way that we won it. It makes it mean a lot more when we had a push for every single thing that we got. There was a point in the year where we were kind of, drowning in 5th place, wondered, what that outlook was going to be like. Is there going to be playoff baseball? So many rainouts early in the year. That was tough. We didn't really get to have a true home opener. That was tough, but despite all that, we had a record-setting crowd on July 18th. I think that was a nice turning point for us. You put up 14 runs against the best team in the league in front of a packed house, which kind of, I think, showed that if you dream it, you can believe it. And we're wearing our Rose of New England uniforms. Those were a lot of fun to be able to see our guys wear this summer. That was a new little touch. So that was pretty awesome. And so many small moments throughout it. So glad it kind of turned out the way it happened.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, if this is the end of the show, then these 2 years were so much fun for me. To be involved with the Norwich Sea Unicorns, and I think it's kind of strange, and maybe even apropos, that we did get to watch an 8-run inning. It was like I was sitting there with Nick, and it was like every bit of emotion that you had through the entire year, it was like it's all justified now. Everything's okay because they just kept going and going. And then I literally looked at him and I said, would it be bad if they mercied him at home in game 3?
I don't think there's a mercy rule.
No, I didn't think so either,
honestly,
because there was no ghost runner or anything like that. So I'm like, this is everything that's balled up into one inning. And then you have Wooten come out, who's in the twilight of his Futures League career.
Possibly his actual career too.
Yeah, he's done with college. Yeah. He's done with, this was it. And he shined in the last 2 innings, and he more than made up for that one pitch in game number 2. So now there's 3. Will there be a 4th? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. I mean, if this is it, I'm going to say there's a taste in my mouth going, I want more. But I'll be happy going, yeah, I was a part of that. Even a little bit, doing what I did. I mean, it was just, I was a part of that. And that makes me happy.
Yeah, I think same for me. Like, so easy to, when you get one, you get greedy for more, and you keep getting greedy for more. But, for me, I'm just going to take this time to soak it in, embrace it. It's pretty rare to be a part of something where you, let alone win it once, to be a part of a group that did it again. So much turnover in this league. Like, that's a big part of it. Like, yes, you see championships won in the big leagues or whatever, but for the most part, they keep their rosters intact. This is a brand new group, pretty much a brand new coaching staff in some ways too. Found a way to do it again in the same league, where it pretty much, like, you're lucky to get 5 of the same players to return again in summer ball. Like, so many options for players to go to all these different places. You don't know if you're going to be able to bring them back. Their school that they go to has a big say in where they place their players. And saw a guy like Gio, like last summer, he's like, you know what, no matter what, I'm coming back to Norwich. And I think a big part of that was, kind of that coaching staff that we had, and Denbrough coming back to be the manager this year. Someone that they had played for, not as the manager, but he was the associate manager last year for Murph. That, like, familiarity always helps in some of those decisions. So yeah, just excited to soak it in, and just embrace every part of it. That was a crazy ride for 10 weeks that kind of flew by at times, but that's a lot of baseball in a short period of time where everyone's your family. I mean, that's the only way to do it. You're around everybody so often that if you don't feel like it's your family, it's hard to want to go back there every single day. So that's a big part of it. And yeah, glad that we were able to be a part of this ride.
I just wanted one more person I want to recognize, and it was somebody that came in this year, and I said, you really should come down there. Come with me. And you know who I'm talking about? Rachel. I said,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
said,
she's
you're the
awesome.
best photographer in this area, period.
That is awesome.
You know, and I told that to her back last year, you know, and I said, you got to
Yeah.
do these things. I said, because, you know, her kids are in wrestling, right? So she would take a picture of
Yeah.
wrestling, you know, she was a wrestling, you know, mom, whatever. I said, okay, do this,
Yeah.
do this, do this. And man, I said, you got to come do the Sea Unicorns. And she did. And she aced it. So that's another
She's
shout
awesome.
out I wanted to. It's just there's so many. I don't think there's anybody that watches a game or listens to a game, or you know somebody's grandma is upset because they can't find a game. You know, I had to talk that in. You
I
don't know
also
what I'm
think
talking about.
a lot of the credit has to like our ownership group. Like we had multiple of like pieces of our ownership group at the games, which I think is awesome to see. They came right down, gave us like congratulations, handshakes, everything that we needed. So like, I think for me, like I never thought I'd be winning a championship with the Norwich Sea Unicorns, being a Nashua guy, as a player. But I think what this organization has done from an ownership level to a GM level to a coaching level, even director of player development level. I think what they've done is something that's really special, and it would be very hard to see. I don't think the league will let it go, but I think it would be very hard to see a city or town let this go because I mean, just the opportunities that you give to the fans. Like there is like, and we've had this argument about our city in Lowell, the old Spinners, and now they have an FCBL team coming here. And there's people that are like, I want minor league baseball. Why do you want minor league baseball where half of these guys, no one has any emotional ties to, in the sense of like, they're not from the city, they're not from around here. And on
Good
top of
point.
that, like you have no shot at getting an autograph from them. They won't, a lot of those guys are like, yeah, whatever, I'm not signing. I'm not signing. Like these players come here because it's like a big league atmosphere and they get to sign anything. They have a blast doing that. Like it's just such a great environment, and this league is such a great league. It would be a real shame if this some reason wasn't back at Dodd next year. So I'm just forever thankful for the memories and times that I've had here with this team, whether it was playing against them, being on the coaching staff, or anything in between.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this. This is probably the longest lunch with the Sea Unicorns show that we did.
Big lunch.
Huh?
It was a big lunch.
It was a big lunch. And hopefully we're here again next year. And my gut feeling is we will be. Or at least the team will be, you know, in some incarnation, you know. That's my gut feeling. So what's that famous saying? It's not goodbye, it's just good night.
See you later.
Stay classy, Norwich.
That's right.
Stay classy, Norwich.
Classy, Norwich.
Thanks, guys.
We got that in.
Have a great winter.